you ready?
No Ocho, kind of weird.
I
Bad
realized.
day for you.
Do you want to know what happened? As Craftsdwarf said 7, I was like, oh shit, I don't have comments pulled up. So I was way more focused on pulling up the comments in the Reddit than listening. And so I just responded like in the background. You know what I mean?
Naturally. So you revealed that your natural inner self is white.
Yes.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome
Whoa,
to...
whoa. Okay. Hold on. Sorry. That special guy says, Vindy says, sorry, are we just going to the Weeb Club? Sorry, I just saw a comment got like immediately triggered. Like insta triggered. Holy fuck. Okay, sorry. You go, and then I'll just go off about this guy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Weeb Club. Go ahead, Vindy. We're going to comments.
Okay, look. This guy's like, Vindy says he doesn't care much about racism. The 20 minutes in, my man calls a leader of an ethnic group Winnie the Pooh. Perfect XD. Like, I don't know if you're baiting me or like, I don't know what this is, but like, okay, Xi Jinping is the leader of China, the country. He's not the leader of everyone who falls into the ethnic group of like people from China, right? Like you understand that first of all. Second of all, like calling him Winnie the Pooh is not like racially motivated, right? Like you realize that like that started in China is a thing that people were doing to make fun of him, which is why he banned Winnie the Pooh in his own fucking country. Like, if anything, calling him Winnie the Pooh is more about like, at this point, it's more about like a symbol of anti-censorship, right? Like he literally banned, like when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in China, Winnie the Pooh is just fucking blacked out because people called him that and he got upset, right? It's like literally like like you see it used as like a form of protest like against Chinese censorship. Like what are you talking about? That just like triggered me. Like it is it is not racially motivated at all calling him Winnie the Pooh. Really mentally ill comment. I'm sorry, just not a good one. Not a banger
also,
one.
I have a question. Why the fuck did Luna like respond to and also respond to like every comment with something like rubber up? I think he's just trying to make sure everyone is sexually safe out there. You know, they're using protection.
I'll give you a little thing to look into.
Okay.
Craftsdwarf. It's from a YouTuber named Antstorm123, one of the best on the website. That's all I'll say. Anyone can go watch Antstorm123. This is a promotion.
So
two things. One, when I thought rubber up, I was thinking more like, is it supposed to say my parents should have rubbered up? Like, is that what it's going on? Like that I shouldn't have been fucking born? Is that what it is? And two, also, I'm not gonna watch that video or look up that YouTuber.
Okay, buddy. Antstorm123. Don't forget the 123. Thank you.
Okay, another comment, just like, I don't know, people were out to fucking get me today. But Matias Del Campo says, Vindy trying not to sound vanilla by avoiding having Gengar as his ghost type ace, only for him to praise Resident Evil 4 and be excited for the remake. Truly the most vanilla member of the podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, that like, wow, I like the ghost, like the best ghost type Pokemon. And also, I didn't say that I chose ghost types. In fact, like, that was something I thought of like in the moment because I do like Gengar and I'm just mad because he always ends up in my team if I don't like actually like not let him. I always use a Gengar, but I still said I would go either it was like normal type, which someone else assigned to me, or I said I'm pretty sure grass type because it's like more interesting and there's a lot more you can do with it. So that's wrong. And like, oh, my bad. Sorry that I played like one of the highest rated and like most universally acclaimed games of all time and am excited to play the remake of that game, which people say is like just as good wow, ooh, you got me there. So vanilla for enjoying like obviously like medium defining piece of media. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's like being like, oh, this guy watched fucking like Star Wars Episode 4 and said it was really good, or like he said that he liked the Lord of the Rings movies. How vanilla? Who doesn't? Like, it's one of those things. That's like it's so universally like, what is wrong? Like, hello.
The funniest thing about that is just I feel like because you know, we were also there's the Reddit post that I'll get to where, you know, I feel like we also generally come from a place of just like shitting on very like common and popular takes, and that's where a lot of like the WBs have come from, right? Where we're just like if anything, we're sitting here being contrarians in a way, like not really, but you know, that's
exactly,
a mindset. Like, I feel like an attitude we can be seen as having, and then but then also here we are getting shit on for having a normal regular ass opinion, and it's like, okay, like, you know,
people want to see us as contrarians and like call us elitists, but like what I tell people all the time when they like try to like label me or like other people like you as an elitist or whatever is like, we defend Naruto and Dragon Ball and Sword Art Online. And like some of the most divisive episodes of the Weeb Club we've had were like when we watched Tatami Galaxy. And
or
it was
fucking
like
Asobi Asabase, like fucking, you know, those are the ones where we're butting heads with each other, where it's like this little, I mean, or I don't know, that's just like a random one of just like, I guess that's a nothing, but yeah, Tatami Galaxy is pretty popular, but yeah, that was an example of, a rare example of like, where we don't really agree, yeah.
And like, sure, yes, we do have some like contrarian takes, like, you know,
not contrarian, but more like counter, because I feel like contrarian is like when you're doing it on purpose, like
that's true, that's fair.
You know, because I feel like, I mean, I've come from, because I've been thinking about this, like, because I've been rereading Hoshino Samadare, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, and like, because I was worried going in that it was gonna be a situation, because like I noticed with a lot of the anime, not a lot of, but definitely a handful. There's some shows that I watched or that I've rewatched that I thought about and realized that like I feel like I gave it a higher score because it's popular, or it's seen as like Legend of Galactic Heroes or Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. And I like these shows, don't get me wrong, but not like 9 or 10 out of 10. Like it's not one of my favorite. They're not some of my favorite shit ever, you know. And so that's like where I'm thinking of. It's like, as far as being contrarian, it's like I don't go out of my way to dislike things because they are popular, or if anything, I've you know, in my past I've been the opposite, where I tend to like things because I feel like they should be liked, if that makes sense, as someone who was getting into anime at the time when I did that, and now I don't do that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I off topic.
No, I get that. I think that's like the big difference nowadays is that like I definitely feel like I don't know. I feel like I can't be a contrarian because like I'm like so out of tune with like the current opinion on stuff that like I don't know when I go through something of like people are gonna like it or not. I just like, you know, is what it is for the most part. But then also like outside of that, it's like, look, like I don't know. It's just like, what do you want from me? Like, yes, in general, I feel like we try to be positive more than not. And yes, we do have times where we like are negative to things and do shit on things, right? Like there is like Ichigo 100, you know what I mean? And fucking like Anohana and like stuff that we didn't like. But at the same time, it's like, for the most part, we try to come at things positively. So like, what do you want from me? To not like things? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I had something else to add, but it just slipped from my brain. So, oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say like, I also just don't even pay attention to what people care or about, or like what they like, and or you know, and I'm also just at the point where if I see like I definitely, you know, don't go out of my way to see a bunch of opinions, but I'll just like, you know, see an opinion and just like, or even hear an opinion and just fucking ignore it. Like the other day I played AMQ with some people and there were some stupid ass fucking things said. I just kept my fucking mouth shut. I don't care to engage.
That one guy?
Yeah, you know, the one guy, and maybe the other guy.
That was the first time we met him, so it's kind of funny that you happen to come in with that interesting individual.
Yeah, I don't care. They can say what they want. I'm not gonna engage because I don't care to change their mind. I don't know them. Whatever. But anyway, another comment. So, Psy ADV guy, mentions AI, and I just realized that's a probable topic in the future. If we,
I've
because
thought
especially
about that
Definitely.
as a topic, but
It is-
I didn't really.
It is one of the most interesting
feel
things to me about this year so far. I would love to
Yeah.
talk about AI, but I would want to do a little bit of research before doing
That's
that.
fair.
So
my
I will
research
not
is
say anything yet.
finding AI made porn on Pixiv and being like, why the fuck does
Where?
this character look weird? Oh, because it's AI made.
Fair enough.
I mean, but we'll talk about it another time. And obviously, I guess it's also been relevant because which is why it's cited because of the Reddit. But so yeah.
I just want to get like, I just want to be. I'm just so hateful today to all the comments because I got another person I got a bone to pick with. Master Spoon. All right, listen here, buddy. Didn't mention steak fries unsubbed. Like, that is the most nerd emoji comment I could imagine. All right, like. Steak fries are mid as fuck. You want to know the real thing with steak fries? First of all, very rarely are they crispy on the outside. And then a lot of times, if they're too big and they're like too hot, then they're like hot on the inside. And then like steak fries never have like the good like crispy. Like they're not crispy enough. They're too like soft and fluffy. Like it's like I'm eating mashed potatoes. And like I like mashed potatoes, but at that point I would rather have a spoon and I'd rather have like some nice mashed potatoes with like some of the fucking fixins you put on them. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather have something better than just fucking like shitty fried mashed potatoes. Steak fries fucking blow. They don't deserve to be mentioned in the in the fucking thing. You're just brain broken because that's normally what we get at restaurants. So you're like, oh, this is what I get at restaurants. These are the better ones. The fast food ones are bad. I'm sorry. Like, no. The fast food ones are either better or like other types of fries that you get at restaurants are better than shitty steak fries. No.
Vindy woke
Not
up today
true.
and chose fucking violence. That's what happened.
I got another comment too, but it's fine. I'm less hateful.
No, keep going.
I don't believe you.
Just
Go
end
ahead.
off.
Okay, Mr. Grimm. Okay, so for the first part, he mentions these playing it on his base PS4 like a goblin. So like I could play RE4 remake either on, like on my base PS4 or on PC, but I'm not going to because I want to play it in 4K. So I'm waiting for a PS5 for that reason because like I have a 4K TV, so I'd rather just wait. It's the same reason I'm waiting on a couple other games. Is literally just like I would rather play it in 4K like and have it look like super good and run a lot better if I have that option. So that's like that. And then like you say it's a bad take to say RE4 has a dog soundtrack. Like, look, I'm not going to bring this up in the weekly backlog, so I'll say it here. I played the game again this last week because I was trying to get the platinum, and I ended up fucking it up, and I'm not going to talk about it, and I need to play the game again to get the platinum, but I'm not going to soon. The soundtrack is, like, mid in most points. Like, the songs that, like, I guess, like, are maybe standout, like, okay, yeah, like, the save room theme is good, but, like, that's in every Resident Evil game, and, like, there's a couple songs throughout, like at maybe the end, you know what I mean? Like, maybe some of the songs in Island are okay, but like for the most part, I do not think the soundtrack in RE4 is like memorable. Like compared to a lot of other, and I'm not even like the biggest video game soundtrack guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't generally listen to them on my own. I listen to like real music because I'm like a cultured person. But for, like even among video game soundtracks, like I am never in my life gonna be like, oh, let me turn on a song from the Resident Evil 4 soundtrack, and like I don't think of the songs from it. You know what I mean? Like you compare it to like actual good video game soundtracks with songs that fucking bop, that go off, that go crazy. You know what I mean? Resident Evil 4 is not up there. No one would put it up there, right? Like sure, the soundtrack is fine, it is serviceable, but like at the end of the day, there are so many games with like banger soundtracks that are crazy good, and like you notice the music when you're playing. That like Resident Evil 4 doesn't stand up there, and like it has a couple songs that are serviceable near the end of a long game, or the songs that like stand out are ones that are in the entire series. Like the game does not have like a distinctive soundtrack where like I would hear a song in any other context and be like, oh, that's a Resident Evil 4 song. And I've played the game twice in the last like week, 3 times in the last year, and like I don't know how many fucking times in my life. So no, it doesn't have like it is not a bad take to say the game has a dog soundtrack. It does have a dog soundtrack. The soundtrack is like by far the weakest part of the game, the least standout part of the game.
True. I've played Resident Evil 4 and I agree.
All right, that's all I got. That's look, now we can
That's so toxic.
Are there any other comments that anyone else wants to talk about? Come on, it can't just be me being toxic to people.
No, that's all it
brought up
is.
a couple other
I
comments.
don't really have comments this week.
Okay.
So on the Reddit, there was another AI generated.
It's bad.
This time it's Vinny and then This has to stop. Also, you didn't actually ban that guy.
Yeah, I said I wouldn't. Even if I literally actually wanted to, I'm too lazy to do that. I'm not figuring out what the login to the Reddit is.
That's a good fucking point. I don't know if any of us have the login.
Like, I could guess, but I don't care.
Anyway, the second thing on the Reddit is just true and real, and I love it. So,
I really quickly about the AI thing. Not only do I still think it's like super cool that it exists. I love that the image he used is personally one of my favorite images I've ever encountered on the internet, which I can post here if y'all need it to. I should be able to. I know it's somewhere on my computer. I'm sure I posted the image sometime, and hopefully that's where he got it from. But it's basically like a Mario riding a Yoshi, but they're like swapped, like they're like palette swapped.
I recognize it now. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
even notice.
that should give it away. Dude, on sight, my ass saw that shit and knew it was the GOAT. It's in here in my folder with like my 3 of my Kirby dick images, Sonic feet images in here. The image I made of like Dante, like I made like a Dante and Sora mashup in like Photoshop one time. That's in here too.
So you have a whole ass cursed folder, and
dude, I got multiple of them. Grandma in the Cage is in this folder. Okay, it's fine. Look, this image, the GOAT. I love this image. It's crazy that he used somehow it was mirrored in his from the image I have. So maybe he didn't get it from me. But,
or maybe he just
GOAT,
mirrored it to. Well, I guess he wouldn't have. Well, I don't know.
You know what? He probably mirrored it so it matched the direction that the Weeb Club faces were making.
Right.
But yeah, goated. I love using that image. Sorry. Okay. Now you can talk about this comic.
You're fine. All right. So yeah, topic. I chose the topic. Kind of. So this is kind of a Patreon suggested topic. I'm just gonna read it aloud and explain what the deal is. So Velocity suggested. Shonen Jump focused episode for bigger series can be kept more general or talk more about some more recent events without spoiling in case some of the hosts are not caught up. Or the topic could be newer series. The problem is that this topic is like 2 or 3 years old in that, obviously there was a time where like, a lot, like, some of it were, I think at some one point we were both reading or aiming to read all of Shonen Jump. You did catch up to everything in Shonen Jump.
There was a period where for sure I was current on everything in the magazine. Yes. You were current on like all but 2 or 3 things. Not only was this part of during a period where I was doing chapter reviews, we were also like streaming and talking about the chapters every week.
Yeah.
And so I do understand how probably people like, because the magazine has changed a lot in 3 years, right? Like Super Eye Patch Wolf talks about what's changed in the magazine every year.
He did. He stopped doing those videos, but yeah.
But like the problem is that like that is not the case today, as y'all will find out when you listen to this episode. Like we are not current on Weekly Shonen Jump, and because of that, we don't have a lot to say about the current state of the magazine outside of like general things that just come from knowing, like, the general thing things we know from paying attention.
Yeah, some things in the mag. I try every new series. I just don't really care about keeping up with everything because some stuff I just don't have the patience for. But yeah, so basically I just wanted to bring, the topic we are doing is derived from this. I just, like I said, I just wanted to bring this up as like we're not doing this topic because, again, it's just kind of like this, maybe it's something we can do in the future, but like I feel like we'd have to go too far out of our way to do it because, I think that period has passed a bit, but I just had the idea of like we could just talk about manga that we're reading and that we're caught up to, because like Nun, you had the backlog a little while ago where you mentioned some manga, so, or not, so just it was a thought I had, so yeah, what are you guys reading?
Vindy, you can go first.
Okay, and I was talking to Craftsdwarf about this before we recorded while we were waiting for our good friend Nunmanji to join. And like, so here's the thing: I am current on 0 manga.
It's like you've been killed and replaced by someone I don't know.
It is what it is. The biggest reason for that is that close to like 9 months ago now, I had to get a new phone, and I am an iPhone user. Cringe, unbased, I know, but I lost like my manga app, and keeping up with shit when you don't have like a manga app and don't use like manga updates. And then now it's been like a year. So like the problem is now it's been about a year for everything I've read that like I was consistently weekly on them. And there were a few things I was keeping up with for a while. But like at this point, it's been since like the start of the year that I've really read anything. So almost everything except for like things that I recently reread. So Kingdom and One Piece being like big notable ones that I reread through last year and caught up on. I don't have a need to reread those. I can just go back to where I was because the story is still so fresh in my brain, right? But and maybe a couple others like Sono Bisque I read last year, so that wouldn't be tough to like catch back up on. Probably same with like Nagatoro and a couple of the other romance manga I read.
Ippo, you also you did catch up briefly, right?
No, but the thing with Ippo is but Ippo, I mean, I've still only read the one time 5 years ago. And the problem is I've tried to reread Ippo 3 separate times now and only gotten like 200, 300 chapters in every time. So it's like one of those things where it's like, look, I get how people can't get into it. I'm just glad I powered through my first time. It also blows my mind that somehow One Piece, both times I've tried to read it, I've gotten all the way through relatively quickly. The second time noticeably faster than the first, but either way, like, so the problem is like those I could reread, and catch back up to, but like everything else at this point, I'm just gonna wait till it ends and reread it. I'm not interested in talking about people weekly with manga because I think that the weekly manga brain rot that people experience is so unbelievably like not only real but like debilitating to people talking about things and enjoying things that I am not interested in even discussing it with people until it's over because I just know that people's brains do not work. If they're experiencing a story in little tiny individual pieces, they just can't, their fucking ape brains can't process the idea of maybe me should wait until me see all to decide something, right? And they just make like these snap judgments every week. They're like, okay, let me read these 20 pages and then I'm going to decide how I feel about the entire fucking, 1,000 chapter manga off of these 20 pages. You know what I mean? How did Oda's last 20 pages pan out? That is how I feel about the entire manga for the entire course of its run for the next week until I read the next pages. It is so mentally ill that I'm just not interested in discussing it with people anymore. So like I have no want to like read stuff weekly, even though like I'm talking about One Piece. One Piece is like the one thing, and like Ippo, I am very interested in reading weekly because I think those stories are so crazy and not only and they're so long. They've been going for so long, and I think they're such a like cultural moment that I want to be paying attention and be around when shit pops off. And I'm a little upset from what I know because I do look at spoilers for the One Piece chapters because I like genuinely kind of don't give a shit. So like looking at the spoilers for the newest One Piece chapter and seeing like the guy who did a move when like it's like the one, you know what I mean? Like, okay, that's really cool. I wish I was caught up.
Which
but
chapter? I'm sorry.
Craftsdwarf, the one who literally has never done like anything.
Okay,
he's given a name before that was like, I was like, oh my god, that was cool as fuck. And he like just murked a guy, like just deleted him from the series. You know what I mean? Like gone, dead. Fans don't even care about him anymore. People were thinking he was gonna be the next Yonko. He's deleted. You know what I mean? Like I know what's going on. But like I'm not current. I haven't read the chapters. It's just a lot of work, and like even though I want to and like I could, like ultimately it just I'm not in the mood to do it right now. And it's the first time for me personally in like 6 years that I have no like in my last like 2 weeks of like media consumption outside of the one episode of anime I watched for this podcast that we'll talk about later. I have like no Weeb related media consumption. Like yes, I've been playing some games that like were made in Japan, but like would you consider fucking Resident Evil 4 and Sekiro Weeb games?
They obviously have a lot of Western appeal, but it's kind of like Zelda or Pokemon where their Japanese fingerprints steps don't necessarily read unless you're like aware of it, if that makes sense, right?
No, you're right. And like you're right that like those are like there's Japanese DNA, and I wouldn't lie about that. But like what I would just still say is that like they're not like Weeb games. Do you know what I mean? Like Sekiro won fucking like game of the year it came out, and it's fucking Resident Evil 4. You know what I mean? Like those aren't like that's not like super like Weeb.
It's not Persona and Fire Emblem. You know?
Yeah, it's not like I'm playing fucking like Kiseki or you know what I mean, like some fucking like deep like JRPG series or some shit, like you know what I mean. So it is what it is.
It's also really funny because you're kind of going through what I went through. Like actually now probably like 7 or 8 years ago. It was like 2015, I think. Because I think what had happened is...
Wait, how old were you? I gotta know. Wait, so 7 or 8 years ago... Oh, you were like 23, 24. Wait, I'm 24 right now. Craftsdwarf.
So literally around the same age. So what happened is
I started getting into anime at like 16, 17, like super hard. Oh my god, stop.
Well, so I would say I got... Well, no, you're just living my life. Now you're going to be fucking 30 years old. No. Now I'm just thinking of the joke where in my fucking day of the life of the Weeb Club, where like, oh, you saved my life, and it's like, no thanks, I don't want it, or something like that. Like that, there's literally like a joke.
No.
But anyway, well, because I think what happened, it was a combination of Toriko and Billy Bat. I think because Toriko, what happened is I enjoyed the series, but I was caught up with it weekly for a while, and what happened is the last arc. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, what happened is Jump basically said they didn't axe the series, but they told the author to end it because and maybe it'll make more sense when I read it, and that's not the case. But I definitely remember feeling like it did the thing where they go into the last arc. There's 8 ingredients they need to find. The first like 2, maybe 3 were like fully fleshed out arcs, and then the last like 5 were handled in one arc, which definitely feels like the author was told like, pick it up. You know. Which so it's like between cancellation and getting to whatever. So I was unsatisfied with the ending, and I gave this series a 5, I think, which I don't know. I'm gonna reread it. It's our next series on the Nen show, so whatever. And the other series was Billy Bat, where I finished it. I read it over the course of 5 years, and I finished it, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck just happened. I need to reread the series. And then I got frustrated because I was like, well, what was the fucking point of me reading it, and then if I'm just going to want to reread it when it's over? And now I've come around on that, where I'm like, well, if I read the series weekly, I get an idea of what it was doing, and then I can read the whole series again with the context in mind, and get an even better understanding of it than if I just drop it at some point and then reread it all, which I think both are fine, and because at the end of the day you're still getting the whole series at once, which is probably the most important thing. But I guess I'm explaining because in particular there's 2 series, Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, where I just do not give a fucking shit weekly. But I also felt that way in particular about Jujutsu Kaisen during the Shibuya arc, where I just reading weekly, I just didn't know what the fuck was going on, and then I reread it all at once, and I was like, wow, the Shibuya arc's actually really fucking good, because I got it all at once and I was paying attention, where obviously, I guess another thing I was gonna add on is because I think generally you're right, and it's especially about larger communities and just the brain rot, because you'd feel that I feel like if you're paying a lot of fucking attention to a series and discussing it a lot, you probably shouldn't be forgetting as many things. But then I'll have people ask me questions, and I'll just I always remember back in Dressrosa when fucking Koala showed up again, and I have 2 friends that I talked to about One Piece at the time. I was like, oh, Koala showed up, and they were both like, who? And I'm like, oh, how? Because I don't know, for me, this little girl in the Fishman Island flashback, becoming a fucking adult and a revolutionary fighting against the corrupt people who fucking are racist as shit against the fishmen, I thought that was really fucking cool. But everyone else I knew fucking forgot this character existed, and it's like, okay, so with One Piece, I've probably read the new chapter 4 times, so that's but even then, reading Wano weekly and not really discussing it with people, I just said it was good, and then I reread it, and I'm like, oh, it's really good. Okay. Yeah, 13 hours of Nensho discussion, good, gotcha. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but it's also interesting that I've kind of gone through similar, experiences of just fuck it, just drop everything. Because, I'm going to reread Berserk and Vinland Saga this year, and those were series that I started reading relatively early into my manga thing, and then dropped, and then haven't touched in, getting close to 10 years, over half a decade. So 3 more chapters of Berserk has come out? No, more than that, but
and I don't know if this is something that you'll understand, but that's I agree with you that it generally is better to know things and go through it again, right? Even if you're weekly, it's just kind of to know what you're looking out for and trying to pay attention to, right? I think that helped me a lot in, you know, like Kimetsu, and I talk about it all the time, but like part of the reason I'm like so proud of my Kimetsu video and like so happy with like even just the process that I went through with making that video is because like it completely changed the way that like I look at media, because like I came out of like the reread completely different than I went into it, you know what I mean? And like I felt that with One Piece, where, you know, I pay enough attention that I knew like the big spoiler that happened in late Wano, even though I was not current when I reread the whole thing, and I was looking out for any signs. And so even though like there weren't a lot of signs, I was still like open to the idea, and it made a lot of things click in a lot of ways that I think helped the entire series in context when you really look at it. And I think it really helped me see like the way that Wano fits into Luffy's whole journey in the Grand Line, and like this kind of story that he goes on and he goes through in terms of how he's treating his adventure, that like completely align with what One Piece is about in like this really cool fucking way.
No,
that like
you just
can't
a really
see.
Great point that I still think about with how it like comes full circle on Luffy's and how he fights. Right, like like that's, I still think about that point because you gave that to me before I even reread Wano, and I thought about it, and it's just so fucking perfect to what like One Piece is doing as like a growing up story, but also a story about holding on to childishness. And like,
well, also in like
it's so fucking good.
Even just like in a basic way of like learning to enjoy the adventure, you could argue that like Luffy had lost some of that after what he loses in parts in the story, and that like Wano is him regaining that, and that's why like him over like beating like Kaido is like this like huge triumphant moment for him, is because it's him relearning to have fun on the Grand Line again. And then, you know, the way he acts after that, and like literally how you can see him be in like the few fights he's been in, you know, post Wano, like he retains that lesson that he learned, and it's so fucking cool to see like the series come full circle in a way. But that's only a context that I was able to pick up on because I was, you know, paying attention the entire time.
Yeah, because I didn't think about it while reading weekly. Then you brought up to me, and it's just, you know, it's really cool. And you know, the longer I keep reading One Piece weekly, like the more that's going to happen, where details are going to slip. And you know, even though I'm talking about it with people, you know, I'm going to forget things, and then when I go through it again, I'm gonna, you know, because right now it's still pretty fresh because I just reread Wano, and the current arc is still really short. But
you're not reading Wano and reading Kaido, and every week you're not like thinking about like, but how does this relate to the crocodile, and how does this relate to the Kizaru moment in, you know, Long Rang Long Island? But it's only like in totality when you can really look at it and try to look at how all these moments, you know, like interconnect. And so like it's why though I do still pay attention to like, you know, spoilers for MHA and One Piece and series like that like, you know, I do want to pay attention to. And some series like I just can't pay attention. You like Jujutsu, I'm glad you brought that up. That shit is so psychotic, and I was so out of sorts when I read that shit originally that like there is no shot I am paying attention to spoilers, because I did not know what was going on like when I first caught up. There is no world I know what's fucking going on. You know what I mean?
No, there was it hasn't been like recently, but there have been times where I literally would read a chapter and I literally don't even know who any of the characters fighting are, and I'm like, which one are you again? Like, because they're not main characters. Like, yeah, it can be like that sometimes. But you know, again, a reread wouldn't. Well, even like recently, I mentioned it before, but Blue Box, where I, you know, was liking it, I would have said it was one of my favorite things in the magazine. Reading it all at once versus just reading it weekly for 2 years was kind of completely different as a reading experience. So, you know, and now I really like it, and I have a much better idea of what's doing as a whole story, because I hadn't given it much thought. I don't think I've fucking talked about the manga with like anyone ever, you know. So like, or watched a video, or even, you know, so yeah,
yeah. Nunmanji, what manga are you current on?
Well, I wanted to talk about something else.
Oh,
but
never mind. You go talk
you
about
guys
something.
moved past it a little bit.
Well. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just kind of was thinking about MHA in regards to what you guys were talking about how like there's these things that you don't understand as you're going on weekly, and I was just thinking about how like when there's like this one like major thing that's like pivotal to what's going on for like arcs and arcs to come, and you don't understand it, then it's gonna like taint your whole view of the story. Because for me with MHA in particular, it's not being able to fully see why Deku was like like, you know, like I understand why he left the class and like why it's safe, why he thought it was safer for him to not be around them, but the way in which he like gave into despair and was like, I guess, edgy deku, quote unquote, I was like kind of disjointed from that. From like, I felt like after the first initial war, the way he reacted at first didn't seem as like bad. Like it didn't seem like he took it as badly as he ended up doing later on. So like I'm not fully able to like get into like anything that's going on after that, since everything is like built around that. So that's like kind of something that I feel like I need to pay attention to when I reread MHA in particular. Yeah, like that's just been like a major thing that I haven't been able to like reconcile. And I feel like I'm a little torn between like what you guys were talking about of like, should I just continue reading this weekly so that I can build up all these things that I want to continue weekly to build up like all these sort of things I want to pay attention to on a reread, or should I just stop reading and reread when it's over? Because like I don't really enjoy reading it weekly for the most part, but I also think maybe it'd be beneficial to know the ending and know like details while I'm rereading it. But it's hard to know if I should force myself to.
It's definitely a hard question to find the answer for. I feel like, well, because like to use Kimetsu as an example, Kimetsu is a series like I read like 1 or 2 volumes of as it first was getting translated, and then I just dropped it for one reason or another. But then, you know, you guys both reread it, I think, after it ended, and then a little while later I read it. So I went through, like, I knew some things, I guess, so I can't say I was completely blind. Actually, you know what? I wasn't completely blind at all, because I'd heard you guys talk about enough things that I was able to pick up on some things myself. So actually, that's not the best example. But yeah, I guess it's also, like, I mean, are you in a position where you'd risk getting spoiled on things you don't want to get spoiled on? Like, Vindy will just look shit up. He doesn't care, right?
I mean, I've already been spoiled on MHA. I see spoilers on One Piece, and I don't care.
Well, I subscribe fully to the idea that I am at least in that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like, I think I mentioned it before, but there's like studies that have shown that like not everyone obviously, but a majority of people enjoy something more if they know spoilers ahead of time. I just fully subscribe to the idea that I am part of that group. So I think even just looking at an initial like following weekly of a series is like a primer, because that's almost how I view it now. Is like if I'm reading something weekly, that is just a primer for my read through when it is done, right? Like I still consider with One Piece, everything I'm doing now is just my primer so that I am as engaged and as fully like understanding of everything going on as possible for my reread of everything after it's all done, right? So when when One Piece ends eventually, you know, but not before, once the last chapter is out, right? It's not like I'm going to reread it all before the last chapter. I want the last chapter to be out so that I know everything that happens to then look back on the whole series and like actually be able to view it all at once. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, it all just depends on how you look at it. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
No, it's fine. I just have like, I mean, Boruto's like an example where like I basically know every spoiler, even though I'm not reading it right now. Pokemon, but like it's one of those things where I do like kind of pick and choose with series on how much I'm fine with exposing myself to spoilers. But something else I was thinking about too is just kind of like, you know, recently I did basically get the chance to do the thing where I'm rewatching something, but I'm keeping something else in mind to, you know, question to see if I can like, you know, understand it better, which was obviously Code Geass with Suzaku, my favorite guy now apparently. Cause like the first watch, you know, I got Lelouch for the most part. There's still things that like, you know, even now that I think about, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't really notice that about Lelouch, or oh, that's pretty interesting. But like, since like I already, you know, focused on the protagonist, understand the protagonist, now, you know, I mostly, when I was watching those like recap movies, wanted to understand Suzaku because like, you know, he's a deuteragonist of the series, and I wanted to like see if
my
like
goat,
he was like, if he could be more likable to me, to see if like he was like more entertaining than I thought he was. And that's like majority of what I was able to like do when I rewatched the series through the movies, and it gave me like a different way to enjoy it, even though I was like watching the same thing. So I do think it's like a very interesting thing to be able to do when you're rewatching something, especially like and also like for longer series as well. Like if there's certain arcs, like the earlier arcs, maybe you didn't like them as much, but now like, you know, it's a whole new way to view it once you see like the end and stuff. So it's definitely something I was thinking about while you guys were talking.
And yeah, so to give my thing with spoilers is that like I actually used to follow, or I guess I was gonna say, I think in most cases I don't care, but also I'm not really in a position right now to be spoiled. You know, and but I guess one definitely because so to go back to One Piece, because like I actually used to follow spoilers until so the reason I actually remember one of the first chapters that I was reading because I wasn't caught up to the manga. It would take me a while before I actually read every chapter because I was a fucking degenerate, and it was different times as well. But I remember the first chapter I vividly remember. I'm pretty sure I actually been looking at the spoilers before this, but chapter 408, Monster, was the one where Monster Chopper first became a thing, which I vividly remember because the spoiler pages were lower quality, and so that 2-page spread, or that big spread of Monster Chopper looming over Kumadori was just way more. It was striking more so because of like the lower quality of it. Like it made him look creepier since there was like more shading because of the low quality pictures, basically. You know, but so I kept up with I read this chapter spoilers until the chapter that I stopped doing it was the chapter where fucking Kuma comes out of fucking nowhere during the conflict of the Shabari and he just fucking teleports Zoro away. And I remember being like, what the fuck? And so at that point I just kind of like, you know, I felt like, you know, I felt disappointed that I didn't experience that at the end of the chapter where this character just comes out and just does this, when instead, as a spoiler, it's kind of a big deal, you know, and it's more at the forefront, if anything. You know, so with One Piece specifically, I think I do. I mean, obviously, if I got spoiled, like if someone just fucking DM'd me to be, you know, which I've heard has happened, like with like Uzumaki Khan, who, you know, is kind of famous.
He's got spoiled in real life.
By people. Like people will go out of the way to spoil a guy whose not whole appeal, but like what I know him for is that he has these over the top, insane and genuine reactions to things in One Piece that are adorable, honestly. Like just think of like fight off the door that's falling on him as he's freaking out about Ace being Roger's son, or like the way he like skitters away from his computer when Shanks is sitting there talking to the five elders. Like it's fucking great. Like this man, I've barely seen anything of this guy, and Uzumaki Khan's probably like one of my favorite dudes in the One Piece community. He just seems like a cool, wholesome dude. You know, but like, you know, so like, you know, I wouldn't care as much if I did get spoiled, but I do like. So Vindy, you're caught up to One Piece spoilers at least. So you probably know in a very recent chapter that we
like. Okay. I would not say that I am.
Okay, gotcha.
The most current, but like, you know, I see stuff on TikTok.
We'll see if you know what I know. But basically, we saw a little tease of a certain pirate heading to Egghead Island. That I fear that I may have willed into existence, given what was happening on the Weeb Club at the time. And when I saw
I didn't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I won't spoil it, but I can tell you that when I saw, it was literally just 2 panels of basically a pirate flag and a ship coming towards where the Straw Hats are right now. I literally got out of my fucking chair and was standing there in the center of my room, stifling a fucking scream. Okay, like. One Piece is different from me. That's all I'm gonna fucking say. So, I'm just gonna DM you, Vindy, because I'm just gonna, because you don't care.
That's fine. I don't care. No, I would rather know.
There.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I didn't fucking see that one coming, and now I'm fucking afraid.
I see. Hello.
Yeah. So yeah, One Piece is again a bit different for me, so I do try to read that one unspoiled.
No, you're good. Nunmanji, what manga are you current on right now?
So I'm only current on 3 manga. I was thinking about, I was gonna catch up to like more stuff, like not a bunch of stuff, but a little bit more. But like I was a little bit busy because I had to do some stuff, so I didn't really have the opportunity to just like read a bunch of stuff. But I'm caught up on Nagatoro, Anjo-san, and Witch Watch. Really, I prefer to catch up on like romance series or comedy series or rom-coms. You know, obviously the same thing, but both of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier to not have as much brain rot about romance or comedy series. Where,
I
like,
disagree.
I mean, for me personally,
Well,
I know
maybe
people
maybe
can be that
okay,
way,
maybe
but-
for you. Like, and if it's great for you, I'm so happy because I feel like the general person, their brain rot, like their weekly brain rot for a romance series is so much worse. Because like you'll hear shit for like romance series where people will say the
we'll
shit
cry
like,
about like no progress. Or
why is there no development between these two characters? When
you
it's
guys
like
were just
if
bitching
you're
about that earlier. I remember.
if you're paying attention, like, oh wow, these two characters are like noticeably closer and acting closer after this like recent chapter. But like people don't pay attention to that and then they just whine and cry. Yeah, no. Like Godspeed if you have a brain, because I love it. You're a goat. I love you.
For me, it's one of those things where like I don't feel like I have to remember quite as much when it comes to romance series because, you know, even though like I would say every chapter matters, there's like more clearly some chapters that don't matter as much and are just like more for fun chapters. Like, not that there isn't like, you know, development to be seen there, or like those for fun chapters work off of a previous development of, oh, X character's more comfortable around their romantic partner, so now they can have fun more effectively and like relax or whatever. But like the chapter in and of itself and like all the details of said chapter aren't necessarily important, I would say.
Well, I think it's also just like this basic idea that like the for fun chapters are still just as important as like a normal like everyday chapter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely can be, but like it's also one of those things where like the general idea of the for fun chapters as a collective are kind of like the idea, like what you should have an idea you're taking away from this group of chapters that are for fun as a collective thing, but not necessarily like every individual chapter in and of itself. I feel like I know you can kind of say that about like a lot of other manga, but like there's definitely instances of like chapters that I just wouldn't say I had to like specifically remember or keep in mind. And I know like when I reread something, there might be like a detail from one of these chapters that I didn't think about and that like is referenced later and it's like, oh my god, that's really interesting and really cool. But you know, for the most part, it's not like crazy important all the time. And I feel like I can like more so just get like a little dose of like, oh my god, these two are so cute together, so funny every week or whatever, or close to every week. I don't read anything like truly weekly. Like there's always like a little build up of chapters and then I'll read it. One thing in particular that I feel like is kind of a good example of like you can forget somewhat and it's not a big deal is like Anjo-san, where there's like 3 different romantic like pairings that are being focused on, and like I would definitely say one of those you don't need to remember like quite as much, like the one with that one guy who likes the short girl. I forget what that guy's name is.
I kind of forgot about that one.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think about
girl.
Seto
She's
and
cute,
Anjo
and I like her.
and
them,
the
obviously.
incel, and then I forgot what the one
Boobs.
I think about those 2 pairings more than that third one. And like I remember the general idea of like, you know, he doesn't want to be viewed as just like a little brother and he wants her to actually see him as a guy because he actually sees her as a woman and not
Now
just
I
like
remember
this
who you're
sister
talking about.
figure. Yeah, like I remember the general idea of it, and like and I know they have chapters where they like eat together because she has a big appetite, and you know he tries to keep up with her because he kind of wants to be able to join in on this activity that she does and all that. Like I remember that, but like I don't remember super specific chapters, I guess. And I think that's fine. Like I still enjoy them as like an extra supplementary thing to enjoy the manga through, but it's not like the main appeal of Anjo-san for me, so I don't feel like I'm super missing out on a lot while I don't remember it weekly. And I feel like with romance and comedy series, there's certain things you can be a little more okay with forgetting and like just trying to hold on to some other things, whereas like continue like I guess battle shonen or like, you know, very story driven seinen kind of battle things, I feel like there are a lot more character details you do need to keep in mind while consuming it, especially because like I just feel like there's a lot more guess contentious discourse around those kinds of series about like multiple, like with their like really big cast, there's always going to be like some kind of character that has some kind of discussion surrounding like what their role is, or like I can't believe they haven't done something with X yet or something. But I feel like with the rom-coms I read generally, you know, there's a smaller cast, there's less characters to have to keep track of, and there's more clearly defined like side characters that I don't really think somebody's gonna like look at Nagatoro and complain about that like really really big titted like girl who gets naked that teaches what is his name, that teaches senpai like art, that she doesn't have this whole big arc or whatever, and she hasn't like appeared in like 10 chapters or something. Nobody's gonna complain about that, but like in battle shonen and seinen, like I just feel like there's different expectations there, and there's different like things people are looking for. So I just don't have that issue with like rom-coms for the most part.
Yeah,
in comedy series.
No, I think that's like good point. Like, yeah, I agree.
But yeah, those are the 3 series I'm keeping up with. I don't like, when you thought of this topic, did you want me to like specifically talk about those series, or like I don't?
I mean, it's a topic, so we could talk as much as little on it. And I feel like we've already had a good discussion just about like less talking about the manga we're reading, which was what I planned for, and more just talking about reading manga in general, if that makes sense. So, you know, I'm satisfied, all things, you know, even just from now. But I'll talk about, well, so my problem though is, so on Mal it says I'm reading 75 series. It's obviously not true. Like I just looked again, and 5 of them I put completed dates because it's something that either like I finished, like Ginka and Gluna, which was one of the new Jump series that got canned, is like, and Mal just hasn't updated it for like the number of chapters it's supposed to have, so I can't really mark it as complete basically. Or others, like I've also been reading some Clamp manga that are on hiatus. So I have them marked as reading because, again, Miles doesn't even have them marked as finished, and I don't know if it ever will, because like it's weird. Some series that are in hiatus, like it was really funny. There was a very brief period where I guess Hunter x Hunter had marked as on hiatus, and you could mark it as completed, and but then like literally like within a week or two, new chapters came out, so they brought it out of hiatus. Miles is fucking weird sometimes. But then some manga that Gate 7 and Drug and Drop, which are 2 Clamp series that I'm pretty sure have not had a chapter in longer than Hunter x Hunter has ever not had a chapter, are still marked as publishing. So, you know,
I would love to you know, meet the Mal mods, like the people who decide that shit in real life, and have a discussion with them, just to talk to them, because I'm convinced they're fucking reptilians.
No,
like
Mal's,
the people who decide the shit on Mal, like I do not care about your arbitrary rules. The way you decide shit is mentally ill and genuinely harms anime discourse. Like, please grow the fuck up and become like a normal human being, and like actually look at things with like some critical thought. And like, I do not care. I want you to start telling the community, like, yeah, it's arbitrary, but we use our fucking brains and we decide where shit like should lie and what shit should lie as, like, based on our fucking brains. And like, we look at it and we think. Because you know what? Like, that's more than most people do, and it's fucking mentally ill. And oh my God, I hate the Mal mods. They're so bad at their jobs. It is unbelievable.
No, yeah,
I was thinking about that until like a couple days ago to add dark mode to their website.
literally. So yeah, what I was gonna point out about Mal, if we want to go on that, is like, because Boruto ended in quotation marks recently. I don't like. I mean, I guess the most recent episode was like, I guess, you know, they felt a bit like it's literally like 5 episodes into an arc that's already almost done or done in the manga. like, so it's not actually ended, but I guess I felt like there was a scene at the end that was like, okay, they're at least they're aware that they're putting this on pause for a while, and they literally already have like Boruto and Boruto Part 2 like ready, like they have a Mal thing, and it's like, like, because how they're thinking, like we complained about it with ReZero, where it's like it's one fucking season, or season 2 is one fucking season, but because it was a split core, they have it listed in 2 parts because of their arbitrary rules that they're following, and it's like, okay, it's one fucking season, but all right.
Yeah, that shit was a little annoying, because it's like, I have ReZero on my favorites with season 2, but like I had to decide which one did I want to put. Like, I think part 2 probably has higher highs, but I think I remember enjoying the average episode in part 1 of season 2 more. Mm-hmm. So I had, like, that's why I have season 2 part 1 as the thing on my page, but I shouldn't have to make that decision because, like, I'm not even really sure about it. It's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about it until you brought it up, but yeah, like I have SAO War of Underworld's 2nd season on my favorites, even though it's not really the second, it's just the second half of the show, the War of Underworld, so it's like, grr, fuck it, god damn it. All right, but anyway, I'm technically reading, but really only, I don't, how many of those chapters even get regular updates? Because like I'm looking at my list and like, Sangatsu no Lion does not get enough chapters, honestly, and when they do, like, even when they do come out, they're like fucking 6 pages long, but they're still, it's Sangatsu, it's still one of my favorite manga.
It's the GOAT. It's chapters. Literally the GOAT. It's like, it's the GOAT.
Right,
it is what it is.
And I am.
You can only ever hope to be second place. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
It's fine. It's fine. I understand, because it's so good. And I'm gonna be really excited to reread it when it's all done. But and I'm also reading series like I'm just looking at the second one on my list is Ayan Makoto, which is an old romance manga that was written by I believe it was the author of it has a different artist, but the writer was Ashita Joe. And it only has like 8 chapters translated out of 16 volumes. So like so I just, like, obviously what I'm trying to say is the manga I have listed as reading on Mal, even though I'm reading them as chapters are coming out, they're not necessarily like coming. I don't know. It's weird. I didn't even think about it when I came up with the topic, but it's just like, but yeah, just to bring up, I don't know, I'll just bring up some series that, I think are interesting, to bring up. 'Cause let's see, I have some, I swear, that I think are interesting to talk about. See, a lot of them are good or like are fine. Some of it, like, I guess there was a new Jump series that started, or what was it called? Tenmaku Cinema, which might be cool. It's by the pair who did Food Wars. So I don't know, but it's about cinema. The main character is going to become a director or something. So I don't know. I tend to like the Jump series focused on art, so that could be cool.
Question. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Do you know when that? So go ahead.
Do you know when that series by the Time Paradox Ghostwriter duo is going to come out?
No, I literally looked because someone posted on one of the Discord servers I'm in. They posted the names of the 4 Jump series, and I looked them all up, and none of them are by the Time Paradox Ghostwriter duo. So I don't know. I will tell you none. Don't worry, because Time Paradox Ghostwriter is still like my favorite by far. Obviously canceled Jump manga, because it still manages to be so like fucking interesting in the 2-3 volumes it got. Like I should go back and reread it, because fuck, man, what a good fucking manga. So I'm definitely very curious as to what they do next. But
yeah, I think their next work is like going to be a comedy though. So I mean, it's going to be pretty different if it is true that it's like a comedy thing.
I hope it's good. But yeah, Beat in Motion is a newer Jump Plus series, I guess, about an animator who teams up with a music lady, and they're gonna do a music video or something. It's fine. I'm not big on it, but it could get good. Shoha Shoten, though, as far as Jump Plus series, Vindy, we've talked about Shoha Shoten, but probably not on the Weeb Club. Banger fucking manga. Yeah, it's by the artist who did Bakuman and Death Note, but not the writer. It's got a different writer. I forget if he's done anything. It's a comedy manga. It's a manzai comedy, and it's also just really funny, and the expressions are insanely good. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite like ongoing manga, even though it's like relatively new, and I definitely highly recommend it. It's so fucking good. I I am caught up to Ippo, which is also they're getting into a Mashba fight, and Mashba fights always go fucking hard. So very looking forward to that.
Let's go, my goat. I guess I should catch up to Ippo, huh? You're just telling me.
Yes. Kanojo mo Kanojo is almost ending. It literally has like less than 5 chapters left.
I started reading it.
Yeah, and it's still very good. Like I've been keeping up with it weekly for a while, and
I'm
it's
gonna
still,
have to. I'll just wait, and then I'll reread it.
It's funny when it's funny, and it's been getting like I don't know,
So then, my biggest question about it is it like holding true still to like its initial philosophy of like, you know, everyone's gonna be happy at the end?
So I mean, I think given the way the relationship goes, is that yes, I definitely feel like everyone's going to be happy in it, and also just by the tone of the manga, I don't know how it's going to happen yet because it's literally right at the point where it's like one character is very fucking sad and not happy, and that is also making the other characters less happy because that character is their friend, and I'm very looking forward to seeing how it's going to resolve because it's a tough, you know, it's kind of like a God. I don't know. It's been really fucking good with the climax, and it's still a very silly manga. The characters are all funny and good, and Saki's gay as shit. Like, but it's so good.
Goat.
I kind of forget I'm reading Kengo no Mega. It's fine. Kingdom is also getting towards the end of a big arc. It's still really good. Komi-san, I actually caught up to that within the last like few months, I think. I reread and caught up to it. My stance on it is that like I think a handful of the characters are very good and I like the stuff with them. Everyone else is fucking annoying as piss and I kind of don't want to be anywhere near them. So it's like, so the manga's kind of a mixed bag, I guess, like of stuff I really like and then stuff I just do not give a shit about. Like, no, I do not need an Among Us chapter that has more words than it has artwork, and it's not really funny at all.
Whoa!
You
know.
You're gonna trigger all the 8-year-olds. What the fuck?
Dot is seething and mauling right now.
I did not know I read 244 chapters of Komi. I did not.
You gotta remember though, a lot of those, a lot
I know
of
a lot of them
the
are
first like
short.
150, 160 chapters are like 8 pages or like 3 pages and shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mashl's in its last arc. It's still it's fun. I like it. It's probably not gonna get higher than a 6, but I enjoy it.
Do you think? I have a question about Komi-san. Do you think it's like when it's doing its like serious stuff, it's still like good? Because I remember the last thing I read, it was like pretty good. I don't know if it still maintained that kind of feel the whole time. It was really great about it, but
the serious stuff, because it tends to involve the characters I actually like. Even when it involves characters I like less, it makes me like them a little bit more, even if they're probably going to be more annoying still in the comedy stuff. But like, you know, at least I can think of at least, you know, the main characters in my head who I like and enjoy. You know, there's also other characters, and it's like there's a fucking character in their class who's like a fucking baby who has a binky in his mouth and makes baby noises, and I'm like, can you just like go away forever, please? So yeah, Komi-san, everybody. Ruri Dragon is still fucking dead, as is my hopes and love of reality. Sona Bisque, I am still really curious as to how it's going with its current stuff. It's really good. Kaiji is still fucking good as shit. It's fucking Kaiji, of course it is. I'm also planning on rereading it this year. Witch Watch is, I guess, you know, I especially see where you're coming from it, Nun, because
Witch
it's a
Watch
comedy.
is a manga.
I like it. Fuck you.
How dare
for once
you say anything slightly negative about anything my hero Shinohara has ever worked on?
Well, Ashura Lost in Space isn't that good. That you need to read that and you'll realize why it's okay to not always be positive on the man. But I
will
just
glaze that man till the day I die.
This is like the first time. Like the idea of reading Witch Watch is like, I don't feel like reading it. But once I actually read it, I'm like into it. But this was the first like batch of chapters that I read that I wasn't actually that into it when I actually sat down to read it.
Damn, you hate that shit now?
No, but not that entertained.
They just introduced a cute girl who was good.
Me.
The only good one in the batch I read was the teacher and the student.
Those are always good though. The manga
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Unfortunate. Wait, so you didn't get to the new girl?
I caught up.
Okay, never mind. Unfortunate.
The robot girl.
Yeah, she's good. I like her.
She's okay.
All right. So yeah, Undead Unluck is weird for me because like I started it. I was like, this is a neat new Jump series, and then I read it for a while, and I definitely hit a point where it's like, okay, there's good moments here or there, but I definitely kind of don't give a shit about what's going on a lot of the time. And then it hit, I guess, the arc that would be like maybe it's the end of Act 2 sort of thing where it's going into a big turning point and low point for the story. And at that point I was like, okay. And then it got into its current sort of series of arcs, and I legitimately like the manga now, and I'm very looking forward to rereading it because I actually give a shit about Undead Unluck now. So that's pretty cool. And then Yozakura, obviously I've liked it a lot for a while, and it's still one of my favorite things in the magazine. It's also, I don't know if I wouldn't say going into its final arc, but it definitely hit a big there was a time skip. That's all I'm gonna say. Actually, maybe I'll spoil Vindy because he doesn't. One second.
I read through the end of the most recent finished Yozakura arc.
Okay.
So
did
the
you get
shit
to
with
the
the
time
dad.
skip?
No.
Okay, then I'll spoil you.
Okay. Exciting. I didn't know there was a time skip. Maybe I'll catch up to Yozakura then. The goat, even.
You're not gonna catch up.
Don't talk to me like that. Who do you think you are?
Because that one's just a lie. You're not catching up.
So yeah,
That's not true. I love Yozakura.
I also another one I read last year was Watamote, which the chapters are coming out kind of slowly, I guess, relatively. But I was surprised at how much I liked it because it goes like because I remember I think I talked to like Mathwiz and I think you, Vindy, and both of you I think had only seen the anime, and I think where the series goes with Tomoko after the anime gets like way more interesting with her kind of like growing up and maturing in some ways and being, she's still a fucking degenerate and a loser, but she actually also has friends who kind of like her for being just genuine and, in some ways not giving as much of a shit. And then she, grows up and like realizes that, oh, normies have their own problems too, and stops being so like unnecessarily hateful, and like it's legitimately good. And Watamote is actually pretty good manga. Was surprised by it. So yeah, that's it.
Fuck the topic. Can we talk about Oshi No Ko now?
Yeah, I think we should talk about Oshi No Ko now.
The wildest hour and 20 minutes of anime I've ever watched in my fucking life. I had no idea what was coming next. Shit was crazy.
I got spoiled on everything, so.
Oh,
I genuinely thought it was going to be like... By the way, we said we were watching the show weeks ago. Spoilers for Oshi No Ko. Grow up.
Well,
dude.
I guess real quick before we go into spoilers, I know the episode is 80 minutes long. Shut the fuck up and watch it. It's like
it's not. It's 82.
Minutes?
It's 82 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if you are apprehensive about that, I mean, it's probably cheating to say I can't think of a better first episode of something that I've seen ever, just at least only on episode 1, but it's probably it's up there at the very least, but it's cheating anyway because it's literally 4 episodes long as one episode.
Apparently that's the whole first volume.
What I would say is, and first of all, I think that makes sense, but it's for the best that the episode ends where it does, for fucking sure. At the end of the episode, and I knew it was coming, but I was waiting the entire time because it was very clearly, and here's the thing that you understand, or I feel like I understand if I see an anime episode that's 120 minutes long, or not, an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
That means that there's clearly something there about the setup that has to be fully given for the setup of the series. It's why ReZero is a double length first episode, because it has to give you the setup of the series, right? It's almost the same with Rakugo is a long first episode. A lot of times if an anime has a long first episode, it's because the premise it is selling you on is really in depth and it really needs you to buy in on all of these aspects for the premise to work. The premise of this series is fucking psychotic, and because the premise isn't fully fucking set up till till an hour and 20 minutes in this episode. It's like bonkers. Like you think you know what's gonna happen, and you think you know what the series is about, and then it's like gonna be about something else, and then you think you know what it's about, and then this bitch gets fucking stabbed.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I didn't directly get spoiled on that, but like I saw I saw the image of her like bleeding or whatever.
Okay.
But like it was like kind of obscured, but it was like once I saw this stalker guy who kills this other guy in the beginning of the episode. Okay, that was just her dying. I saw an image of her dying because like the way the image is like it. If you saw that out of context, you could assume it's like a meme image or like, you know, like sometimes there's like extreme, like I guess Boshi the Rock does this a lot where like she's like fainted or like a very exaggerated joke. Like you could look at that and assume it's like a joke thing. But because I knew this stalker guy existed who killed a different character in the beginning, I just knew that like, oh, he probably just kills her like later. And then I also got spoiled by the Mal synopsis about like the reincarnation of these like other two characters or whatever, because I actually bothered to read it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I literally knew nothing about. All I knew is idols, and I know that I knew some people who really, really liked the manga. And then when I added it to my Mal, I found out that at least at the time, it was currently the most #1 ranked anime on Mal, just literally off the first episode, which is insane. I mean, I've known of like Spy Family also got really high very early on, but I don't remember if it was literally #1 after the first episode high. But yeah, I was pretty glad that I didn't get spoiled because I mean I saw some things coming, you know, because like okay, when he reincarnates and there's a twin, like okay, there's only one other.
Yeah,
character.
obviously the twin is gonna be you see that and it's like okay, like I watched the episode with my girlfriend and I turned to her. And like I wasn't like fully paying attention. Like I was kind of on my phone when they first reincarnated. Because like I'm gonna keep it a buck. An hour and 20 minutes, you cannot keep my eyes fully glued to a screen for an hour and 20 minutes straight. I am going to zone out and look at my phone and look at Twitter for a second. So like I was kind of not fully paying attention. But then like the second I actually saw that like it was a girl, because it was just like the immediate scene where they were born, I didn't realize that the other one was a girl. And then like that first scene where they're like on the couch at home and they're watching like the performance, I saw it was a girl. I was like, oh, okay, that's like the other girl from like the thing. It's like so obvious immediately, you know, that's what it's going for once you see he reincarnates.
Like I still didn't expect her to just fucking get up and start walking and talking like it was fucking nothing, because like just the way they presented it was still like, you know, fun in its own way, I guess, if that makes sense. Well, even if I saw it coming.
Yeah, and I think the subversion then though, because then you see both of them reincarnated and you think it's going to be, you know, a series along the lines of like, oh, what if we got reincarnated and we were now, you know, rich and famous and had all these connections, you know, and it was just easy street for our lives. And you think that's where it's going, and then she's fucking dead and their mother dies and they're, you know what I mean? Like they're like it's crazy that like it even like inverts that.
No, yeah, like it's definitely like I was even thinking about like how do I fucking explain this to someone, because it just like it starts off like okay, a pregnant idol, and then the doctor fucking dies. It's like okay, so he's gonna
a pregnant idol and a pedophile doctor who the nurse is calling a pedophile.
And then yeah, it's like and the fucking hell, it's just it's a very wild first episode for sure, and it was very fun watching it, and
yeah, I was like super entertained the whole time, and like
I mean, Doga Kobo just don't miss. Yeah, sorry, continue. I'm so sorry.
I feel like unintentionally, two of the things that I watched recently helped me enjoy this show more, because you know I've been watching a different idol show, which is Wake Up Girls, and the season I'm on in particular right now, they're like delving into like some of the other stuff idols do. Of like right now, Mayu, one of the main characters, is doing like a drama show with a different character, and like, you know, these are some of the activities that idols do to like earn money, get more recognition and stuff that aren't necessarily always shown in detail in like idol shows, I guess.
Not the ones you watch, apparently.
Not the ones I watch, yeah, which is not very many, but it was kind of a first time like seeing that, so like it was kind of interesting to see in Oshi No Ko, where, you know, she's doing some like did the film and, you know, a commercial.
We see her on quiz shows, variety shows and stuff briefly, not like in depth, but you know.
And then the other one was little code geass. I'm brain rotted, and like when she was talking about all that stuff about lies becoming the truth, I was like, oh my god. And then when the reincarnated doctor as Aqua was like, this is my revenge story, I'm like, Lelouch? I'm sorry.
He even has a single eye that's special.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I don't know if it's the same one though, because I just don't remember off the top of my head. Because the two twins have the two separate eyes.
I think his is on the left, and hers
isn't that
is on the
Lelouch's?
right.
Or no, I don't remember. Okay.
No, Lelouch's is on the right.
Okay, never mind.
One thing I do really quickly want to give this episode as like props. Sorry, just to like really quickly, that like is that even though it's super long and there's a lot of plotting it has to do to set up like this bonkers like setup, every character still has like really good character moments. You know what I mean? Like, even like the idol mom who dies has like great setup into her moment of telling her kids she loves her and like actually meaning it for the first time. And then, the girl has like the moments with, learning to dance and to actually stand up and walk for herself and not be afraid to fall because, in the life she lives now, like it's okay. She's not going to just fall every time. And then, I mean, obviously the entire episode being set up for the, the main guy's character motivations, but I think like it actually had like really compelling character moments for almost every character. Even like the woman who adopts both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Has like really good compelling character stuff.
No, yeah, like for sure, like and then obviously it's like setting up like the whole end bit where we see a bunch of the characters, like some of them we've seen before and some of them we are going to be introduced to for sure. In the because like I guess another thing I like about the show is how like because we tend to talk about art a lot, so we tend to also like stories about like creative stuff, like we like talked about Blue Period and Vindy, you and I like Shoten, right? So like Octage, like all these series about, and so here we have a series about like they have the idol stuff and the entertainment industry because you also have an actor, and I think I definitely like what it's setting up for its ideas, because I like how because it's so easy to be cynical about the idol industry. I think like you even kind of see it when they're on the set and all the camera guys are like, more mass-produced idols, and they're being super like bitter and cynical about it. Like it's so easy, and it's so I like how the series seems to be very like it's honest, but it's not like dismissive, if that makes sense. Like it's still
pro idol and pro entertainment industry, even while being honest, but not like pro in a way that's just like propaganda for it. But it like I loved the idea in the episode that like even though she might have been lying to her fans when she was telling them like I love all my fans and y'all are everything to me, like even though like maybe you could argue that in some ways that was a lie, it wasn't really, because like she was doing her best for her fans. It was trying for them.
Like the way, because I mean her getting stabbed was like, because I didn't I wasn't obviously the episode was so wild, like if maybe if I had a break between episodes I might have had enough time to think about it and be like, oh fuck, but then like obviously I was kind of sucked in and I just was watching it, and then she got fucking stabbed and I was like jaw on the floor like holy fuck, I did not see that one coming. But the way she talked to the guy who stabbed her, and where she's like forgiving him, and she's like, oh, I'm not very good with names, but I actually remembered your name and I still have the gift you gave me, and he just fucking like loses it, like, because I don't know, I just like the trope of character who feels like they haven't been seen and wouldn't be remembered. Like I brought up about 20th Century Boys before, because it does a similar-ish thing where, and then they just hit you with that, and it's like, and they were remembered and they were seen, it's like it gets to me, and then like the way that there's like the end credit scene or post credit scene with her like doing the video with her twins is like because she said like she didn't want to say I love you because she didn't want to say it and realize that it was a lie, but like that video shows that for years she obviously loved the shit out of them, right? But she just was because of her upbringing and the way
couldn't tell how she actually felt.
Right, getting into this industry about like being fake. Like there was that whole part with oh my god, because like she was talking about how like she was putting on this, like, making the perfect smile, so to speak. And there was the one person on Twitter who was like, oh yeah, she's not being genuine. I can't get behind her. She's something just to feel like, it's not clicking with me. And then the funniest part of the whole episode happens when the babies go on their fucking synchronized, like, idol fucking routine out of fucking nowhere. I fucking lost it. And, she got a genuine smile. And it was really fucking good, God.
Yeah, I really liked the whole part of the episode where we kind of get to see how how she is, like, around them versus, like, other people, especially when like as you were saying, like, the producers were kind of skeptical of her and not exactly, like, buying into the act. But, like, the fact that she's, like, trying in the first place is, like, meaningful in and of itself, which is, like, super cool.
What you reminded me of is, like, because, once she started performing and they saw her, like, the mood turned around. Like, even though they were cynical, like, there's still a part of them that cares, like, that got into this industry, that cares about making something good or, working with talented people. And the fact that I was talented when, they initially dismissed her, like, that's where, it's the honesty, right? Where it is being, clearly aware of the failings and problems of the industry. Like, like we see with the acting where it's like her part got cut out because of a producer who didn't want the main actress upstaged, and it's like I don't know. It's definitely it's really solid so far in that way.
Yeah, I'm actually, like, super into, like, how it's not just necessarily about idols. Like, it also has that focus on acting. And, like, right now, it kind of seems like, the guy will be the actor. And I don't remember what his original name is, if I should just call him Aqua or if I should... I'm assuming I should just call him Aqua because that's what all the characters are just going to call him. So, Aqua's going to be the actor and Ruby's going to be the idol is where it seems to be going. Right.
But she will even if it doesn't be acting at some point and doing other idol things, right? So
yeah. And I that's kind of, like, what I was thinking based on, like, he only has the one special eye and she only has the one special eye, but, like, so it's, like, kind of half of eye since I had, like, two of them. So, like, I was kind of thinking it was, like, kind of a split thing going on where he's doing half of what she was doing and she's doing half. But, yeah, I'm super curious on, like, where it's going to go.
You reminded me, just, like, the wordplay in her name where it's like, okay, I as in love, I as in idol, and I as in eyeball. Like... fucking annoying. How good that, like, oh god, when she fucking died and she lost the stars in her eyes, I was like, oh, how fucking dare you. Fucking piece of shit show. Yeah, I'm
also
not sure.
I mean,
oh yeah,
just really quickly, I do want to mention while I'm thinking about it, I mean, it's not a surprise because Doga Kobo literally don't miss, and probably, like, I would say of, like, studios that, like, you see consistently produce stuff, Doga Kobo do just have, like, the best character animation in the fucking game. They slap so hard. Like, I'm not gonna say that, like, they're better than, like, like, and people, like, don't, some people, like to, like, draw studio distinctions, but I'm not gonna say they're, like, better than, like, Bones or Mappa in terms of, like, action stuff. But for just, like, raw character animation, there were so many moments where just, like, facial expressions or, like, body movements or things like that were so well animated, and as a whole, the entire hour and 20-minute episode looked so fucking good that, like, it's really crazy. Doga Kobo just do not miss.
Yeah. Well, I was also going to say, because I realized, like, I very much don't want to read the manga until the anime's over, because I feel like if I start reading the manga, I won't be able to stop, because...
Yeah, it definitely seems like something you just binge.
Yeah, and it'll just be easier for me to, like, because I'd rather just, instead of... Because, like, because I was thinking about it, because, like, I did this before with Senpai ga Uzai and Beastars, where I read the manga along with the anime, where I just read until I hit a point where wherever the anime stopped the episode. But yeah, I'm just gonna wait until the show's over, and then I'm definitely reading the manga. I was also gonna say, I also just think it's really funny that Aqua and Ruby just love the shit out of their mom, like, as an idol.
Just big Gen 3 fans over there.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Well, like, as just the way that, like, are super, fanboy and or like I just like I remember that because I looked at my notes and they were talking about their father, and Ruby was just like, yeah, it was a virgin conception though. It's just like they don't want to think about it.
I also liked the detail of when I died, Aqua just completely drops like the mama thing and just like instinctively calls her I.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
When he's like pleading.
Did y'all get like in the one moment of the main guy acting? Did y'all get like crazy Actage vibes?
I didn't think of Actage ones,
dude. When he was
watching,
like using, he was like thinking about, he's like, and I'm gonna use the director and think about like what the director wants me to do. I was getting crazy Actage vibes, and then that shit made me so sad. That shit made me miss Actage like crazy.
That hasn't happened yet, but it definitely might because I brought it up a couple times already. But yeah, Actage,
I mean, now that I said it, y'all will get it.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean because I guess like. Yeah, I haven't, because obviously, like, you know, acting comes up to a degree in, like, Akane Banashi, where, because they're Rakugo performers, but it's still not the same at all, I think, where in this case it is literal acting, so, and obviously we're gonna get more, like, there's, Kana, the other child actress, who, you know, she was being a snotty bitch, and then, she was completely upstaged, and she's there in the end bit, older. She's gonna, you know, she's obviously gonna show up again. So, very, very looking forward to seeing more. I think
there's, I'm super excited to see where it goes because there's so many like different things they can focus on, especially when like, you know, on one hand there's like the mystery revenge part of it, and then like also like the actual part about the entertainment industry, and I'm curious if like Aqua is going to end up actually like caring about the idea of like acting and kind of doing these like creative things, like, and you know, having something that he's actually like sincerely working toward other than, you know, revenge for I. It's going to be like interesting to see, especially with like, you know, I'm assuming the manga will go on for quite a bit, and it wouldn't really make sense for him to like never get into like the entertainment aspect of what he's doing, because I feel like the series would end faster if it was only like pursuing that guy and not really caring about doing other stuff.
No, yeah, and the fact that it's focusing on like Kana showed up, who we know is probably like still acting and like going to be a thing in some capacity, you know, and also like they even mentioned how the killer is from the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
like,
so he kind of has to work his way up and get connections and
right. And
I'm just looking forward to that moment where he like ends up caring about it, like actual entertainment along the way, I guess.
Yeah. And I was just gonna add that fuck, I lost it.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. The next episode is definitely gonna establish, because like they, you know, Aqua had a part, you know, as a kid. Like, he might have not stopped acting, you know, so I expect that, like, and we don't know where Ruby is, because, you know, obviously she's going down the route of an idol, so the question is, like, where are they at currently? Because they're going to school, you know, but they could be really well-known at the school, or they could be nobody's yet, you know, where it's Aqua's just landed that one role, maybe a couple other parts, like, we don't know. I guess I'm looking forward to seeing, like, how long their journey is going to be, and we'll find that out next episode, I think, because they could be starting out at the bottom. They could already be somewhere and going further. So, you know,
Love Code Geass, dude.
All right, I say we only do one rotation because that was a lot.
I only have one
topic and Oshi No Ko. So, okay, that's worth.
All right, I can easily do just one.
I only consumed one thing, so I can't really do much else. Unfortunately, the gayassing is ending.
Let's go!
Okay, buddy.
I'm sorry.
I have some other gayassing that I want to do, but I'm going to do it on my own, and I'm not going to do it for the weeklies.
Can you gas with me?
If you watch Code Geass, yeah.
Fuck.
So I watched most of Wake Up Girls. Unfortunately, I couldn't really finish it like entirely before talking about it, but I don't really have like another thing to talk about.
I'm so
but
glad
I feel like I
finally
consumed like enough of it, so
I'm finally not the only person on the Weeb Club who's watched Wake Up Girls.
Why? Were you just waiting to not be the only one, even though you gave it like a 6?
It's such a weird show, and I'll talk about why I think that. But you go ahead. And I do want to say I love the fact that you literally, I don't know why you watched it aside from that because you really like that one reaction image.
That's why I watched it.
I love that. That's the only reason, actually. Yeah, that's great.
My goat. I mean, that was me reading Baki for the "You're out of piss. How are you gonna get out of this fucking tetrahedron?"
But yeah,
True,
like I enjoyed it. It was pretty solid. I feel like it never like super broke into getting me like emotional or like getting something really, really out of me, but I still liked how there was like, you know, focus on like other aspects of, I guess, the idol industry where they have to do certain things that they don't really necessarily actually want to do and are like getting exploited a little bit. I don't think they like delve into it like to a crazy extent or like, oh my god, it shows how the realistic plight of idols or whatever. Like it seems like that's how some people talk about Wake Up Girls a little bit.
It is
in comparison to Idol
cringe.
Master and Love Live, but like it's definitely not doing anything crazy. It's like just a little bit. But I generally thought it was like fun and decent. I will say that like the season that I'm watching now, which is the final one, looks kind of weird. Right? Second season, but it's also technically Wake Up Girls 3 because they consider
that
season 1 Wake Up Girls. Yes. Well, the movie, I don't even. They don't. I mean, I don't know. Wake Up Girls, the season 1 is Wake Up Girls 1, and then the 2 movies that take place after Wake Up Girls is Wake Up Girls 2, and then this one's Wake Up Girls 3. The Wake Up Girls movie that's before the series is, I mean, I guess it's just also Wake Up Girls 1, maybe, or like a prequel. Yeah, I had like a little more to say about it like when I was watching it initially, but I think I've cooled it down on it a little bit, so I don't really remember anything in specific that I wanted to talk about with it.
So yeah, I guess for my thoughts, because I've watched it twice, because I watched it again when I did my anime as unrealistic video, because I wanted to use it as a sort of comparison to Love Live, and how, you know, like you have this one, you know, idol show that's like not like, you know, they're technically school idols, it's kind of not very, you know, and then you have a show that's technically more realistic, but also, you know, referring to in like, I don't know, people are stupid, and I'm pretty sure that video was made to respond to people being fucking stupid. But I don't even fucking remember my main points now I think about it. But anyway, Wake Up Girls is like, I don't know. I don't love it. Like, it's fine. I think the existence of the show is also kind of funny. Cause I'm sure you'll notice the show is a little ugly at times.
I thought it looked yeah, there were definitely like moments where like even like before it completely changed its art style and stuff, where it like looked kind of weird and like a little low quality, I guess, but it looked okay enough for the most part.
So the story of the show is that it was made by Yamakon, and if you don't know who Yamakon is, he's the guy who says like the anime industry needs saving, and that like like anime is bad forever, and he's the only one who makes good anime kind of mindset. And like basically what I heard about that is I think like because he was involved in an anime called Fractale that sold like shit in like 2003. And he has been bitter about the anime industry ever since. And apparently he burned every bridge that he had to make Wake Up Girls, which is really just like, you know, it's going into idols. It's being all cynical and reveal like, but it's just like not
even that edgy.
Yeah, it's an average-ish idol anime that just has the same message as all the other idol anime and also looks like shit. Some of the times, so it's like, okay. And yeah, I don't think he's really been in the anime industry since. So yeah, I just wanted to share that little anecdote because it's Yamakon's a fucking character, I'll tell you.
I think it definitely does. Oh, what were you gonna say?
The big room with the antagonistic idol agency, where they literally like, if you literally toe out of line, their computers will find you and they will just fucking like kill your career.
Yeah, basically. I love how exaggerated they are sometimes.
It's
like,
so funny.
Don't think, don't rest, don't complain. Like that's literally their like little motto.
It's so realistic though. Oh god. Like, they're fucking worse than soldiers. Like, shit, dude. Idol military, I swear to God. It's so funny.
I forgot what I was gonna say now.
I'm sorry.
I don't remember. Fuck. Hold on. Give me like 1 second. I think I can think of what I was gonna say. Oh, I guess like one thing about like Wake Up Girls is like just how much like there is like obviously like failure in Love Live and stuff, but like I think at least in comparison to Just Love Live, which is the only thing I have to compare it to right now. So it's not very good comparison because there's a lot of other idol shows out there. It Wake Up Girls does like reset their position in the idol world like more, I guess. Like, you know, like they're hot shit and then like they go outside of their region and then nobody really cares. And like I know that Love Live does that too. But then, like, with Wake Up Girls, it happens even again. Like, even after they kind of made it, nobody cares again. And then there's also, like, an idol recession in the show where, like, even I1 isn't doing well, which is, like, the top group. And then, like, they also introduce, like, V idols or whatever in Wake Up Girls 3, which are, like, virtual idols you can just meet on your phone or whatever. So, like, it, you know, it kind of does go out of its way to, like, continually give them these challenges and like continually like push them down or whatever, but like it hasn't made the show like more interesting and more good to me, I guess. Just because like it is like just multiple times of them having like kind of worked their way back up, and like I think now on this like final time it's like I don't really like care that much, especially when like in the movie, like the part 2 of the movie before Wake Up Girls 3, you know, they finally beat I1. They you know, they finally got number 1, which that was their second time entering the Idol Festival. So like, you know, that was kind of like a thing that happened, but like in Wake Up Girls 3 it kind of just doesn't matter anymore, just because like they say how like after that I1 managed to win future Idol festivals and nobody really thinks about them winning that anymore, so kind of just like a little bit whatever. It like it lowers the impact of it a little bit. Like I'm not like super bent out of shape over it, but I wouldn't necessarily say it like added to the show for me, that it's like, I guess, quote unquote more realistic about it. But yeah, that's I don't have that much to say about Wake Up Girls. At least this guy's like a hero. It's a good reaction image. I will say the moment doesn't like actually live up to the image itself. Like it's better as an image than like in the show, because even when it was like happening, like when like I knew it was getting to the moment, it was just like a sudden cut to this, and like, you know, I don't know. It just caught me off guard, but it didn't leave as much impact as like using this image and seeing it around.
Such a good image, though.
I agree. Especially when, like, relatively speaking, there's, like, a lot of detail on this image. And I think the image I have below, like, I posted below is, like, in the same episode. So it's, like, it's kind of a big difference there.
I saw the greatest movie of all time. The movie of a generation. Honestly, the only thing in theaters in the last 5 years or the next 5 years worth going to go see. I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean, Jack Black is just the GOAT. Like, what can I say? You know what I mean?
I think it was more of a dragon, but I see what you mean.
Nope, he's just the GOAT. He's just, he kills it every time. Like, he just carries everything he's in. I love Jack Black. Bowser was so silly. You know, there were other things in the movie that were fine. I mean, I think, like, you know, it looks good. I think even people who like to, like, really hate on Illumination won't like say that this movie looks bad. I think visually it's like really fun. If I was a kid when it came out, or if I was a kid when it was out, I would for sure be super, super into it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, I'm not, you know, I wasn't like actually super in love with it. It was fine. It's a kid's movie, but like as someone who's worked with kids and, you know, obviously was a kid, it's good. I think it does its job. There's some things I like in it a lot. I think the most interesting thing about the movie, and it's really the only thing I'm going to say, because I think most people either have seen it or, will say stuff about it that's more interesting. But the one thing that I will say about it that I don't think I see a lot of people saying is I think that what's really interesting is like what the movie uses thematically for Mario is like how he kind of saves the day in the end is really interesting, because like what Mario has that makes him special ultimately in the movie is that like he doesn't give up, right? And he can like take a licking and keep on ticking, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't give up and he keeps pushing forward no matter what, and he'll get like the shit beat out of him and still get up and keep going. And I think that like ultimately that's like, the biggest thing that like is the deciding factor in whether or not you like actually beat a video game, right? Like whether or not you beat a Mario game ultimately just comes down to like, if you get a game over, you like lose a life, are you gonna like turn the console off, or are you just and like rage quit, or are you just gonna sit there and be like, you know what, I'll keep fucking pushing and I'll keep trying until eventually I beat it, you know what I mean? And so I think it's interesting to tie in what essentially is like the biggest thing that like will allow you to beat any video game, not just Mario, but like, the like basic skill for games in general, which is just like not giving up. Like eventually you will beat it, right? Like the video game doesn't change, you do. I think it's interesting that like the Mario movie kind of had that in a sense, is like what Mario had that, like the kind of like the mantra at the end of the movie, right? Like the core idea is like what Mario had that allowed him to win the movie is like the same thing that you can take into like winning, like beating a Mario game. You know what I mean? I think it's like a cool little thematic thing, and goes kind of crazy. But besides that, like whatever, it's a fine movie. It is what it is. It was fun. I was glad I went to see it. Don't know like when I'll see it again. I don't know.
Well, real quick, maybe I'm missing something really obvious, but like, because I'm trying to think of just the history of video games. And because obviously Super Mario Brothers was really popular, were there any games before it that were really popular that had a very definitive ending?
Oh, definitive ending.
Because like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man just kind of went on forever, So
it depends what you consider, because like Pac-Man has a kill screen in it where if you make it to it, the game ends every time.
Is it congratulating you for a job well done?
No, that's the problem. It just cannot play past it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, because you say the Mario movie evokes this idea that's very core to video games, and Super Mario in particular, as a video game, was like the first big one that had that idea. I feel like not.
There were Atari games.
Were they as big as Mario or Pac-Man though? Is my point.
Well,
like,
okay,
it is interesting to think about your point too, like in relation to the original Super Mario Bros, where like Peach is always in another castle and he has to like keep going and like. Keep trying to find her and not giving up.
Right, and because my favorite video game that deals with that idea would probably be the Souls games or the FromSoft games in general, where they tie it to like the idea of the fire, and I talk about it in my Dark Souls 3 video, right? So it's obviously, yeah, like you said, it's very core to games as a whole, but like tying it to Super Mario specifically, I just realized like I think it does kind of like hit this very specific point in games history. And so, like, that's what they focus, because I feel like from the outside, it seems like the movie is very, like, respectful to Mario's history and has a lot of, like, fan references to his history as a character, So even just from some of the pre-release stuff, so it makes sense that they'd think about, like, the first game that became really popular, if that makes sense, because obviously it's really, like, the fucking fifth game or whatever, or third or fourth game. So.
That's also, like, part of my thinking on, like, some people complain about, like, oh, I wish Luigi was in the movie more, or, like, there's more good interactions between them, because that was something that people notably liked a lot about the movie, their brotherly relationship, and they wish there was more of that. But like my counter to that is like, when you think about the first game, obviously it's mostly about Mario, and like this movie will obviously get a sequel, so like I feel like it's fine that like Luigi doesn't necessarily get to be part of like the adventure for a lot of it. Like I don't think that's a problem, because like obviously it's gonna get a sequel, and I feel like
I genuinely did like seeing Peach take like a larger role in the adventure. I thought it was fun. It was good.
Neat.
Also, the movie has a bunch of like crazy small like, and just like even like big and just like overt references and stuff. Like they even reference the Peaches in another castle like in the movie.
Okay.
So like you can tell when you watch it, like the people making it, like every second. And, like, the references cover all sorts of Mario shit, right? There's a lot of, especially soundtrack references to, like, Mario 1 and 3. But then, like, for example, when he first gets to the Mushroom Kingdom, you see like the clothes shop from Odyssey, right? It's just like one small reference that's in the background. So there's references to all sorts of Mario shit. It's crazy, and I loved it. Like, I thought it was super fun to watch and just like look for all that stuff, and you know, it was a fun movie. And very clear that the people working on it care about Mario and like actually like wanted to put as many Mario, like as much Mario iconography and references as they could into the movie.
One cool one, I forget if I brought this up before. I know I talked about it to some people, but because there's like a website for the like in Universe, they have a commercial and there's a website they give that's a real ass website, and one of the negative reviews they have is from Foreman Spike, who's the antagonist in Wrecking Crew, who's like a mirror Mario. So like they have some like, you know, very like blatant references, but also some, I guess I haven't seen the movie yet, but some very, you know, more, you know, subtle ones, I guess. So yeah, but anyway, I haven't seen the movie. I should, and then we'll talk about it on the Week Club for a third time. So yeah, anyway, as far as what I've been up to, today I finished Bokura wa Minna Kawai-sou, which is a manga that it was one of the manga that I was reading, and then I just put it down, and I've been trying to finish manga that I've had on hold, basically. And I forgot until after I finished it, like, because I remember, I think I watched the anime for it a while ago when I was watching seasonals, which is probably why I started reading the manga. Also, I forgot that the manga it shares an author with Love Lab, who, you know, obviously, the manga, I don't think the manga ever got finished translated, even though it's over, which is unfortunate because, I mean, the anime is really fucking good still, but I need more. But it's okay. It's a kind of romance thing where the main character and the girl he's into, they live at an apartment complex with a few other people who are all adults, basically. And so the romance angle is he's just gradually just getting closer to this kind of awkward girl who reads books and is an upperclassman and doesn't understand romance cues, I guess. Like that kind of becomes like literally volumes of the series, and he literally right before he confesses to her, says he wants to go on a date, and he's like, oh shit, she's probably gonna think I mean like a platonic library date, and she immediately goes, oh, you mean like a platonic library date, and he's like, god damn it. But you know, I guess one of the things that's kind of neat about it is like you know, because there's other characters at the apartment complex, and like I guess what I got about the series is like how because you know, if you're obviously like you like someone, you don't really get to know them until you start getting intimate with them, like in that, not in like necessarily like intimate, but like going to their house and seeing more of that, because you know there's like a level of yourself that you present to the world, and then there's a level of yourself that you keep at home. And so by living with not just, you know, the girl he's into, but also all these other people, they see more of their ugly sides, which is really evident in two of the characters, Mayumi and Sayaka, who are, one of them's like, Sayaka's like college age and Mayumi is pushing 30, office lady worker, and they're kind of fucking terrible. Like we see a lot of them like where they're dressing themselves up trying to get you know, attract men because they want to get married, basically, but at the house where you know, at the apartment complex, they're just, you know, they just let all their warts show. So it's not Sayaka, she's like, you know, she puts on her makeup, but her personality, she'll like they're like, Mayumi has a whole thing because she's just had so many failed relationships. There's the running joke with her is that she literally wants to crush the youthful romance of the main characters because she's just very bitter. And I don't know, it's kind of funny sometimes. You know, so like I guess what I took from that is just like, you know, what I mentioned before about how, you know, because like we see their true selves. But anyway, oh yeah, it was fine. You know, well, not a manga I'd recommend necessarily, but I enjoyed it. So, you know, there you go. Next week, anything?
Nice. So I mean, if I really don't finish anything, then I guess the rest of Wake Up Girl.
Unfortunate.
I do want to finish the book I was reading, but I didn't have time to read it. I do plan on starting Tanya of the Evil or whatever, the lolly Nazi show.
Yojosenki, yeah.
Yeah, that one. After I finish Wake Up Girls, so if I finish that, then I'd probably talk about that over Wake Up Girls. But
also, I don't know if you actually know this or not, but it's like a fantasy World War I, so she's not actually a Nazi, but it's a meme to call her a Nazi. So
I didn't know that. I thought she was actually a Nazi.
No, No,
Well, not
she's
actually, but like kind of. I thought she was at least kind of.
I mean, I think she's on the fictional Germans forces, but it's not. Again, it's World War I, so it's not really Nazis at all. So, but I remember liking the show, so I'm curious as to what you'll think. And there's also a movie that I haven't seen because I'll watch this movie when it comes out. Never watches it, and then at the point where I need to rewatch the series before I watch the movie. So
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in just like slowly building toward seeing all the stuff in Isekai Quartet because I wasn't really doing that like you guys were. So there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. But I mean, I have seen like an okay amount of the stuff in it.
I feel like now you're only missing Overlord, right? Or are there still some seasons you have to catch up with of other stuff?
I want to rewatch Konosuba.
That makes sense, and because I'm pretty sure you've already seen Shield Hero, at least season 1, and obviously ReZero. But okay.
Yeah, I'm not too far away from being able to watch it.
And you don't need to catch up to Shield Hero because the second season aired after Isekai Quartet, so there's nothing there's no characters from season 2 that would show up in Isekai Quartet. So. Just letting you know.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna finish Hoshi no Samadare by next week for sure. And aside from that, I have no idea.
Oh, Kanojo mo Kanojo's a possibility, but I could just wait till that end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll read it that fast, to be honest. Probably won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not know what I will talk about because I'm not a bitch, and I don't know what I'll go through in the next week.
Okay.
Alrighty, gamers. Adios.
Yep. Goodbye.